Hi everyone, let's go through my macro, high time frame, medium time frame and low time frame scenarios, including potential trading setups. Starting with the macro bullish scenario, where this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, looking for a fifth wave to the upside with targets between 98k and 174k. In this scenario, wave 4 bounced perfectly on the 0.5, taken from the low of 2 to the high of 3. It also bounced perfectly during the 0.618 fib time, also taken from the low of 2 to the high of 3. And we had a high volume peak at the lows as well, which can signal a reversal area, as it also did for this wave 2 over here, which had a very high peak of volume before wave 3 to the upside. Now the targets for a wave 5 in this scenario is the most common target between the 1.618 and the 1.236, which is 98k to 174k, fibs taken from the high of 3 to the low of 4, with the more rare target being over here, the yellow box, between basically the all-time high and 98k. The potential trading setup would be to wait for a retracement, then laddering potential longs, stop loss below the low, very clear invalidation, and then trading it to the upside. The following scenario is the bearish scenario on the macro time frame, where this again is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I don't necessarily like over here though is that this wave 4 is very short compared to this wave 2, and usually wave 4s are a little bit longer. However, in this scenario, we then have a W, X, and looking for a Y to the downside between about 9 to 12k. And in this scenario, what is actually very nice for this potential wave X is that we have a big support resistance area over here, as well as the high time frame range value area low, the wide line on the chart of this range over here that we touched last night. Now the potential trading setup is entering potential shorts over here, stop loss safely above, trading it all the way to the downside for a big swing trade to the downside. If we then go to the high time frame, we have a very bullish scenario, and in this scenario what you see is that wave 1 and 2 on the very high time frame, or the daily time frame in this scenario, already in. So this is a wave 1, this is wave 2, and we are now looking for wave 3 with at least a minimum target of 43.3k. Now what I don't like about this scenario is that this wave 2 is very short compared to this wave 1. So if wave 1 ended over here, wave 2 ended around the 0.236 fib time, as you can see, which is very rare, as a wave 2 usually goes to at least the 0.382 fib time, which actually was the 21st of March. Now clearly wave 2 did not, as this is an impulsive structure and not a corrective structure in a potential ABC of a wave 2. So yeah, this is not my preferred scenario, but nonetheless one that I like to talk about in the video to show you. The other bullish scenario, which is for me more likely, is that this over here is a WXYXZ, which for Z ended at the rare target of a wave Z, which is the 0.618, which is fine. And then now we're moving to the upside. In this scenario, this was a 1, 2, then it's a 3, 4, and 5. So this move over here now becomes a wave 4 instead of a 2. This then is the high of wave 1, looking for a wave 2 to the downside. As you can see, we have the nice support resistance area here as well. The high time frame range, value area low, the white line on the chart that we touched yesterday. So we might already be en route for this potential wave 2. Potential short setup is then entering these shorts in this area, stop loss safely above, trading it to the downside for then this wave 2, where the most common targets for wave 2 are between the 0.5 and the 0.786, with between these the most common target is the golden pocket at the 61866, which also happens to have nice confluence with the lows over here for some extra liquidity, which then brings us to a potential long setups of putting the long orders over here in this area, stop loss safely above, safely risk management as well, and then trading it to the upside for a very big move all the way to 100k. Then the bearish scenario over here is that we have this WXY as mentioned before, and then inside this X we have an ABC expanded flat. So an A, B, and then a 5-wave structure in wave C. Now the Fibonacci's that you see over here is the target area for this green wave 5, taken from the high of 3 to the low of 4. And you can see this is the most common target area for a wave C, which is the white box. The white box is between basically 27.7k and 34k, but in relationship with the potential high fibs over here for a wave 5, this area is a very interesting area in this scenario, as the end of wave 5 might happen somewhere inside this area, if not it already happened. Now, what is also interesting is that over here you see the 0.382, which has a relationship with wave X, as the 0.382 is taken from the all-time high to the low of W, and usually the minimum target for wave X is the 0.382, which sits at 29.6k, and we haven't hit it just yet. However, might the high of 5 be in, and are we looking for downside now? Well, you will see that in more detail on the lower time frames, but yes, it could be possible that the high of wave 5 is made, and we're gonna see more downside in this scenario. The potential short setup for this scenario is entering the shorts in this area over here, with then the stop loss safely above, trading it to the downside for, in this scenario, a wave Y, with again prices between basically 9 to 12k, also backtesting this area over here. If we go to the medium time frame, I want to show you the following, and you can see it's a little bit like cluttery, one could say, on the medium time frame. So let me zoom in a little bit, where in the very bullish scenario we have wave 1 and wave 2 already finished, and now we're looking for this mega bullish move to the upside in a wave 3. Now inside the yellow wave 3, so a yellow 1, yellow 2, and then a yellow 3 all the way up there, we have a lower degree, wave 1, 2, and then another 1, 2. Before then we get a mega 3 to the upside. Very, very, very bullish. Now in this scenario, if I zoom in just a little bit more to get a clearer picture, you can see that the blue count over here would then be this, a wave 1, followed by an ABC in a wave 2, and then looking for a big wave 3 to the upside. What is important to note are the fib times and the minimum target for a wave 2. In this scenario, the minimum target for a wave 2 is the 0.382, and as you can see, price has hit this target basically to the dollar. So it is already legit. Now, is it legit time-wise? Yes, it is valid time-wise. The wave 2 in this scenario went past the 0.5 fib time, taken from the low of 2 to the high of 1. And if you move, for example, wave 1 a little bit to the left, then the fib times will move a little bit to the left as well. And then the low of this potential wave 2 is actually around the 0.618, which is fine as well in this scenario. So wave 2 in this scenario is valid. It is a valid target, first of all. Time-wise, it also matches. So this is a potential setup indeed. Again, it's not necessarily my preferred scenario because this wave 2 is very, very short, but on the lower time frames, this can work. A potential trading setup is then to have the longs scattered over here with a safe stop loss down at this wave 2, which is a very clear invalidation. And that actually brings me to why I also don't necessarily like this scenario. The wave 2 over here did not hit the 0.382. It looks like it, but if I zoom in just a little bit, you will see that actually this wave 2 missed out on hitting the 0.382 fib, which usually is a minimum target for a wave 2. So that is actually very, very rare. Second, if we do look at the volume, and we have a look at this then being, this is the end of 2, and we're looking for a very, very, very bullish move like wave 3 all the way to the upside and the moon basically 100k next. What is happening now is that, yes, we had some nice increasing volume in this wave 1 over here, which of course during a corrective structure is going down. But if this is then another 1, 2 for a very, very big 3 to the upside, where's the volume? So that is quite interesting. We were making higher highs, however the volume is not coming along, and then during this move to the downside we of course had a very big peak in volume to the downside as well, but the volume is like slacking a little bit, and I'm looking for a lot more volume if this scenario is going to be the most likely scenario. If we then look to the bearish and bullish scenario at the same time, because over here this target box that you see, these fibs are taken from the high of 3 to the low of 4, and this is a potential target area for a wave 5 in green in this scenario, as this is then the green wave 4 and we're looking for the green wave 5, which might already be finished in this area after hitting the high time frame range value area low as well. Now this is both bullish and bearish because over here you can see I have wave X on the chart as well as wave 1, where the 5 wave structure over here, which then has a 4 and a 5, is part of a yellow wave 1, and now we're looking for a correction towards a wave 2. Again, the golden pocket is by far the most common area for wave 2, confluence with the lows for some liquidity and then a long. However, if we look at the fib times as well, if wave 1 is already in, then for this potential wave 2, we're looking for at least Friday the 24th of March for wave 2 to be in. And actually, now that I'm looking at this, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit and have a little check. Yeah, I was already afraid that would happen. So for this wave 2, it's not the 24th of March. The minimum target would be the 4th of May. I already thought it was very short. I had the wrong pivot over here. So in this scenario, the low of 1 to the high of 1 is that you pull the fib time from, and then the minimum target for me would be the 4th of May 2023 for then a potential wave 2, for then a continuation to the upside. So yeah, that takes a little bit of time, but that's how it is in this scenario. And for wave X, again, the trade is the same because it's both a bearish trade for either the wave 2 or wave X. The only difference is the duration. As for wave 2, one would close in this area, and for wave Y, one would take it all the way to the downside. If we then go to the low time frame bearish scenario over here, and we zoom in a little bit in what has happened, this last impulse, we then have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a wave 5 ending over here with a little bit of an ending diagonal. And if we then look at what has happened with the news as well yesterday, one could say, hey, expanding flat. We have a 3 wave in the A, 3 wave in the B, and then a C to the downside. Now, yesterday with my very, very short update, I highlighted this scenario as well. We were looking for shorts for a long time already, or basically the only scenarios I had on my chart, potential trading setups, were shorts around this area. So yeah, this was a very nice move, if I have to say so myself. And then we have an A, B, C over here. And in this scenario, lettering, of course, the shorts in this B area, stop loss somewhere safely above, trading it down. Very, very nice indeed. Now, what I don't necessarily like too much about this scenario is that the targets for a wave C, these are the maximum targets that you see right here, are passed. So price has pushed far past, as you can see over here, the maximum targets for this wave C. Now that can happen when it is very volatile, but it is not preferred. So this is something to take into account for then, basically this potential C. And what one could look for in this scenario is that this is only the beginning. So this is then an ABC, which is part of a bigger W. Then you get some sort of an X, and then a Y, or this is a 3 wave in an A, then you get a 3 wave in the B, and then you get another C to the downside for an even bigger move to the downside. The second scenario is that wave 5 finished over here in the yellow count, which is a 1, 2, then a 3, 4, 5, and that the ABC is a little bit bigger. So this is the A, this is then the B, and then wave C is over here. And what you will see right now is if I actually pull the fibs over here to look for this wave C in an expanded flat, you can see that it did not hit the maximum target for wave C. It stayed nicely above the target area for wave C. So this is actually potentially a more likely scenario where this then is a 3 wave A, 3 wave B, impulsive C to the downside, and then a potential W in a W, X, and then eventually a Y, or an A, B, and then C, so another expanded flat C. If we then go to the very bullish, wait, I actually want to show you the other chart. What this reminded me of, before I continue, is the price action that we have. So take a look here. Look how this price action was, and then look at the chart that you look at right now. This area over here is almost basically the same. This is the 4-hour chart. We're in 2021 right now in August, and you can see that we had a same move over here as well, where this was basically let me actually remove this. So this was then an A, B, and then a big C to the downside. So an A, B, C, this was then a W, followed by an X, followed by eventually another Y to the downside, or an ABC actually in this scenario. So this was a very nice 3-wave move. And this price action over here makes me think of where we are at the moment, because this price action happened after an impulsive move to the upside as well. So that is very interesting. We had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we had this ABC over here, followed by another 3-wave, and then a 5-wave move to the downside. Before then, by the way, more upside in this particular scenario. So now then the low time frame very bullish scenario, where of course then the invalidation is the low over here for this wave 2. We then have a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is a bigger wave 1. So we have a 1. Potentially the end of wave 2 over here. As mentioned before, it is valid time-wise and Fibonacci-wise, and we would then be looking for either more upside now already for price to continue pushing to the upside from where we are now all the way up, or falling down once more and go to the more common targets of a wave 2, as the target that is currently hit is the 0.382. over here, as you can see, which is a rare target for a wave 2 and not a common target for a wave 2. That being said, I hope this video was helpful or valuable to you. Thank you for watching and subscribing, and I will see you at my next video. Bye bye.